Representing the business of boxing, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Manager Marty.
Thank you. You're far too kind. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, members of the Roll the Tape film crew, welcome to another episode of Roll the Tape podcast with Manager Marty. I'm your host, Manager Marty. I'm so excited to be here this morning. Come on in. I want to welcome each and every last one of you. We are live and in living color. Come on in. We need answers. We have to go right into the show this morning. But I must admit that the air fryer needs to warm up this morning. Now, I know I did a show. Matter of fact, I did about 2 or 3 shows this week. Air fryer wasn't really warmed up. Today, I need the air fryer to warm up to 500 degrees because yesterday I had my first encounter with Brian Norman Sr. and last night I actually listened to the entire dialogue between myself and Brian Norman Sr. and I actually have more questions for him now after I talked to him. And I wanted to react to all of that. And I know you all are going to really enjoy it. We need answers. I need the air fryer to warm up to 500 degrees. I promise y'all going to love this show. But before we get into all of that, let me say that we will not be able to do our Town Watch check-in. We're on time constraints. And I want to go right in. To the show this morning. So come on in. We're going to wait until more people get into the classroom. It's okay because people like to come late to school, and that's all right. Come on in. Before you grab a seat, grab a plate, though. You probably need to grab 2 plates today because the air fryer is going to warm up to 500 degrees. I already know that. I already know that your contributions is going to put us where we need to be so that we can get the education and the entertainment value of this show today. I already know that. Come on in. Before you grab a seat, though, you might need to grab you 2 plates today. Just 2. Because I have some food for thought that I want to serve you. Come on in. If you're watching the replay of this live, I welcome you. Come on in. Double salute to all the members of the channel, all of the supervisors of the Roll the Tape film crew. Come on in. We ready to start the show. We have to get right into it this morning. I need the air fryer to warm up to 500 degrees today. Also, the Cash App is at the bottom of your screen. $ Manager Marty. All contributions are appreciated and welcomed and will be publicly acknowledged. Also, let me say this. Double salute to Courtler Manus, LLC. They are sponsors of this channel. One of our sponsors. We have more coming. But right now, we have Courtler Manus, LLC, personal injury lawyers in the states of Pennsylvania and New Jersey. They deal with a litany of different issues that need to be addressed in the court of law when we talk about personal injury. Workers' comp, slip and fall, automobile accidents, medical malpractice, you name it, they get the job done. I'm recommending them because I've had personal dealings with them on numerous of occasions in my own life for the last 10 years, and I also recommended them to many of my friends and family members, and everyone has always come out on top because just like their website says, we fight, we win. Information at the bottom of your screen. Court Lemanis LLC. If you need a personal injury lawyer in the states of Pennsylvania and New Jersey, give them a call, 267-457-4201, or go on their website, wefightwewin.com. Now, enough with the hugs, handshakes, and Valentine's Day cards. We need the air fryer to warm up 500 degrees. I mean, because Brian Norman Sr. and we had a very interesting dialogue, and we went back and forth. But I have more questions. Like, I asked him a few questions, but it's crazy because after I listened to everything, the replay of it, I actually have more questions. I actually have more questions now for him than I did before I knew the information that he presented just yesterday. Now, with all of that being said, we have to deal with what's real. The first thing that's real right now is that Jaime Munguia tested positive for performance enhancement drug. Okay? We also know that Jaime Munguia, who is signed to Golden Boy Promotions, he fought in his last fight. Okay? He fought in his last fight. And he fought Bruno in his last fight. And the thing about him fighting Bruno in his last fight, which was literally on May 4th, a couple of weeks ago, the interesting about that fight is that Jaime Munguia looked different. Okay? He looked different compared to the first fight that they had together. Now, that was a rematch. A couple of weeks ago was the rematch. Okay? And, shout out to I didn't even know he was here. He's still stuck in Philly. Double salute to my guy, Lucky McKinnels. He's still stuck on the train somewhere in Philly. I didn't know he was here. But what I'm getting at is Jaime Munguia, right? He looked different. We all know that. I mean, I'm talking about the rematch. The rematch a couple weeks ago. He looked different in the rematch than he did in their first fight. Okay? Now, here's the thing. Now, we got to deal with it now. The post-fight urinalysis from VADA's letterhead that was sent on documentation to all parties involved, to Jaime Munguia's camp as well, of course, that the adverse analytical finding of exogenous testosterone. Now, the reason why I want to touch on that word, because that's very important, that word. When you hear the word or see the word exogenous, we got to understand what that means. When you see or hear the word exogenous, that means that exogenous testosterone. What that means, I want to educate you here because you know I am the anti-doping advocate. So now I can use this for a teachable moment. Now, what that means, exogenous, or endogenous, when you see these words, it means something, okay? When you see the words exogenous, it means basically that the testosterone that Jaime Munguia tested positive for was from an external source. I'll use Victor Conti's words, a basement lab. Endogenous hormones, right, or testosterone is naturally produced to the human body. Okay? So in other words, is this exogenous testosterone that caused Jaime Munguia's urinalysis to come back with an analytical finding was the fact that this exceeded the level of the testosterone that's naturally produced in our bodies. That means that he had to be injected with it. I mean, I know people don't want to hear this, but we have to keep it all the way real. Double salute to my guy. He always come to the barbecue, the family cookout, and he always producing something. And I'm talking about my guy. Double salute to my guy, Rick. Appreciate the love and support. Just plugged the air fryer up and got it all the way up to 350 degrees. Thank you for your contribution and your support, Rick. Rick says in the super chat, off topic, Playboy boots. I just need to see a little bit more from him before I'm convinced. Manager Marty, keeping it 100. I appreciate that, Rick. I think we all need to see a little bit more from Boots. Now, some of us are convinced, and some fans of boxing are not convinced. And I think that's actually a fair assessment because Boots is still trying to fight the level of opposition that will put him in the status of becoming undisputed in the welterweight division as a unified champion. And not only that, but he has plans, his words not mine, of moving up to 154 pounds because there are some big names and high level of competition there. So I appreciate that, man, and I think that's a really good assessment, Rick. Appreciate you. Now, as the air fryer is warming up, we have to deal with the reality, okay? That these claims from the Smarto lab that sent the results to VADA being that mediator and middleman, and I'm only saying the word middleman because that's what the founder, Dr. Margaret Goodman, she used that term when she talked to me personally here live on this channel. Between the fighter, the promoter, the actual lab, and the commission. So Jaime Munguia, he tested positive for a banned substance. He tested positive for exogenous testosterone. Okay? Sounds like an injection to me. Now, in the first fight, what was so crazy to me was that Jaime Munguia not only got knocked down, but the referee stopped the fight. Now, that wasn't crazy to me only because he got knocked down. I mean, look, Jaime Munguia got knocked down by Canelo Alvarez. The difference, though, is that when Canelo Alvarez knocked Jaime Munguia down, first time in his career, he actually jumped up very fast. Go back and watch that fight if you don't believe, or if you need a cross-reference. He got knocked down, bam, he jumps right back up. But when he fought Bruno in their first fight and he got knocked down, he was literally hurt. I mean, he really was. And the thing about it is, Bruno, out of 20 plus professional bouts, only had like what, 4 or 5 knockouts in his professional career? I mean, that's what surprised me. But needless to say, these external factors, these outside external sources of testosterone tells me that it's a great possibility that Jaime Munguia was injected with testosterone. They do have some labs, unfortunately, that produce some high levels of testosterone. I'm talking about exogenous now in certain supplements, but usually testosterone is injected. Sometimes you have creams, such as the cream that Victor Conti helped manufacture and produce in the Balco scandal. Remember, Victor Conti and Sugar Shane Mosley both publicly confirmed and acknowledged that he was giving out the cream to multiple athletes, including Sugar Shane Mosley, where you rub this cream on your skin like body lotion or cocoa butter. Okay? Of course, we know the contents were exogenous testosterone in them. So we just got to keep it all the way real. Jaime Munguia tests positive for a banned substance, exogenous testosterone. And whatever the punishment and consequences that need to be passed down, he's going to have to deal with it, just like any other professional boxer. Now, he may have a reason for the exogenous testosterone that was found in his system. We have to see. People want to run with the narrative that Eddie Reynoso had something to do with it because he obviously trained Jaime Munguia for this rematch. Of course, we know who Eddie Reynoso is. Obviously, he is the renowned trainer of Canelo Alvarez. And of course, in the past, Canelo Alvarez also tested positive for a banned substance. Now, I can't accuse and put that jacket on Eddie Reynoso. I can't do that because I don't think that that would be right if I don't have proof that the trainer was complicit in the fighter testing positive for this banned substance. I don't know. It is highly suspicious because this is not the first time in boxing where a professional boxing trainer have trained fighters in their camp or in their stable, multiple fighters who tested positive for banned substances, such as Freddie Roach, or being suspicious of their fighters being on PEDs. So I'm just saying it is highly suspicious, but I don't even want to go travel down that road. Just know I'm speaking on it as the anti-doping advocate. Okay? We're going to take a small, short 30-second commercial break because I want to play the audio of Brian Norman Sr. And I want to deal with that. So I want you all to hang tight. I'm going to literally play the excerpt of that. I'm not going to play the whole thing. It's just different pieces that I'm going to deal with because we have to deal with it. Now, some people might not recall this or know this, but remember, we need the air fryer. We need the air fryer to get even more heated up before I speak on this topic. We need this right here. I mean, you're going to love this. I mean, because I have more questions for Brian Norman Sr. now after I talked to him than I did before I even encountered the guy. Now, let me tell y'all what happened so we all can be on the same page. I was scrolling down on my YouTube feed, just scrolling down. And as I was scrolling down, I noticed that Brian Norman Sr. was on YSM Sports Media live. I didn't even know that YM Sports Media even frequently goes live. I was just scrolling down and I saw that and I'm like, wow, that's Brian Norman Sr. He's on YSM Sports Media's channel. I clicked on the channel and noticed that he was there. And I requested the link. It's unfortunate that these guys won't come on my platform. It's unfortunate that I've put names and titles, talked about different things that have occurred within the last 8 months between Brian Norman Sr., Brian Norman Jr., their representation, their management company, Eddie Hearn, Boots, that whole debacle, that whole breakdown of negotiations, etc. I've done multiple videos and published several lives. And yet and still, Brian Norman Sr. told me yesterday to my face that he didn't know who I was, nor did he see any of my content. I find that to be shocking, to say the least. But needless to say, I was given the link as I requested. I wanted to play some of the things that were said by Brian Norman Sr. when I asked him some questions. And with that being said, we need answers. Here's a few excerpts from Brian Norman Sr. You all going to hear it, and we're going to deal with it. I'm going to break it down as quickly as I possibly can. You know what? I'm doing way too much talking. I mean, don't take my word for it. Roll the tape.
And you can, we already did that. We did that when we fought Santiago. And that's what happened.
Right. I have another question on that.
Yeah.
When did you guys know? Meaning, when I say no, I mean specifically know that it was a guarantee that your son was going to fight Jin Sasaki at some point. When did y'all know that? Was that in 2024 or was that in 2025?
We didn't know who the fuck Jin Sasaki was. Somebody sent me a video of Jin Sasaki leaving one of his fights, his last fight in January. And I kept getting everybody sitting to me where he called my son's name. They was like, Brian Norman, yes? He said, yes, Brian Norman. Or whatever. We don't know that mother. We did not know him from there. We didn't know him in 20. I didn't know who the fuck he was from.
That was probably the video when I took that excerpt from him saying that, and I did a video on that, actually.
Oh well, yeah, no, we didn't even know him then. I did not know who the fuck he was. The people were sending me that video. I only heard of 2 videos. He called out, and one video, that was the one after his fight. He was walking down the hallway, and they weren't really saying nothing. The dude was just like, Brian Norman next. He said, yes, I'm Brian Norman. They sent us that one, and I was like, shit. That's when I went to looking at him, like, that'd be a great fight. And then the other video was him saying he'll knock out Boots. So he was like, he'll knock out Boots. And I think he said B in that same one. So I only saw 2 videos of him calling my son out outside of before he approached my son after his fight. Other than that, we didn't know shit about Jin Sasaki.
Okay. So at what point did y'all know, once again, that y'all were going to fight Jin Sasaki? When did y'all actually know that?
We had offers. We had different ones. After my son fought David Quaybass, this is the craziest part, and I'll say this too, or whatever. They kind of kicked me out of the room. I guess I don't know what that was about. But his management team, you know what I'm saying? They, my son being this grown man shit because I ain't his manager no more. You know what I'm saying? So they was in the room saying about the offers they had or whatever the case may be. Of course, Jin Sasaki was one of them because he approached him at the fight. But it was more than Jin Sasaki. It was more people. So they had different whatever. Again, my son said he was going to wait on the winner of Stanionis and Boost to see what they had to say, see what they were going to do. We was watching that shit with all eyes, all whatever. Just like my son told Sasaki in the interview, you can go watch the interview where he did with Sasaki. He said, yeah, if I can't get none of these other guys to give me a notification or get some smoke with these other guys, I definitely give you an opportunity. So yeah, but the fight was not signed, sealed, and delivered until the end of April. I want to say April 25th, something like that.
April the 25th, basically.
Something like that.
Y'all knew that y'all were going to fight Jin Sasaki.
Yeah, because like a week or so after, we left real quick. We went to California for training on May the 4th. So it was like literally about 5-6 days max before the fact when we found it out and the fact that we went. So yeah.
So then your son basically, you said that your son said that if the other guys wouldn't give him a chance, I guess right away.
Phone breaking up. It's breaking up.
Hear me?
No, I can hear you, Marty.
Oh, that if you just said that if your son said if the other, I guess, world champions won't give him an opportunity to fight in a unification bout, then your son would take the Jin Sasaki fight. That was
Right.
what, in April, March or April, basically.
He told Jen Psaki that right after his fight, March 29th.
May 25th or something like May.
March
I meant
29th. March 29th.
March the 29th.
Yeah.
He told Jen Psaki that, but you just said within a month you guys signed a contract at the end of April to fight him in June.
Right. Right.
Right. Well, that's the part where I'm confused at, because you know Boots fought on April the 12th, literally 2 weeks or so
Right.
after your son fought
Right.
in his last fight. So I'm just trying to figure out why, and if your son is saying, based on what you just said, your son said, we're going to see if the other champions give me a chance to fight them. And if not, then I will give you an opportunity. But Boots fought literally 2 weeks after your son fought. So I'm just trying to figure out, why didn't y'all fight Boots instead of giving Jen Psaki the opportunity when he fought 2 weeks after y'all?
How could we fight Boots? Fight Boots how? Fight Boots how? Wait. Fight Boots how? Was there the offers out to fight Boots? Wait, now you hear me now? Was there was no offers out to fight Boots?
All right. We heard enough. Did y'all hear that? I just want to make sure my audio is clear. Can we do a mic check, please? Come on now. I need the air fryer to warm up. Let's do a mic check real quick. Just a yes or no in the live chat, yes or no in the comments section below. Did you all hear that? I just want to make sure we're on the same page. I'm about to start air frying, but I need that. Oh my God. Good God from Zion. We're going to have a good show. Ooh, my man. Hey, can somebody just say yes or no in the live chat? I want to make sure that the audio is clear. Were y'all able to hear that? Loud and clear, Flatbush, appreciate you. Anyone else? Thank you, Creole. Anyone else? I just want to make sure the audio is clear. Okay, everybody heard that. Thank y'all. Okay, now, thank you, Steve, in round one. Appreciate it. Okay, so basically what I was getting at, and I want to hurry up and speed this because I got so many points I want to bring up. Here's the thing. I want to make sure that we are all clear. I want to play just oh my goodness, I want to air fry so bad. I need y'all to support me. I'm going to play something that was said. Some people may have missed this, and this is why we're here. I'm going to play it again. It's a small 5 seconds. I promise you it's not that long. It's something that he said that perked my ears up. The manager in me couldn't let it slide. Hold on for us. Let's see if we can rewind that. Hold on. Here we go. Good morning, Ariana. Here we go. When did y'all actually know that?
We had offers. We had different ones. After my son fought Derek Quavez, this is the crazy part, and I'll say this too, or whatever. They kind of kicked me out of the room. They tried to get, I don't know what that was about. But his management team, you know what I'm saying? They, my son being this grown man shit, because I ain't his manager no more. You know what I'm saying? So they was in the room saying about the offers they had or whatever the case may be. Of course, Jen Psaki was one of them because he approached him at the fight. But it was more than Jen Psaki. It was more people. So they had different whatever. Again, my son said he was going to wait on the winner of Stanionis and Boots to see what they had to say, see what they were going to do. We was watching that shit with all eyes, all whatever.
There it is. That's all I wanted to hear, that part right there. He said, my son said that we're going to wait to see the results of the Boots versus Stanionis fight before we agree to fight Jen Psaki. Hey, don't get mad at me. That's what he said. Right? I just want to make sure that's on the forefront of your conscience because I'm about to break that down for a second. Now, my thing is this. We have a problem. What's the problem? Well, the problem is that Boots Boots beat Stanionis by technical knockout. So why didn't why didn't Brian Norman Jr. stand on his 10? Stand on his word. I'm talking about the words that his father just said that his son said. And fight Boots. If they were watching the fight and they were waiting to see what the results were going to be after Brian Norman Jr. fought Derek Quavos. Y'all don't know what I'm talking about? Well, what I'm really talking about is the timeline, which is what y'all heard me ask him live in living color. Boots fought April the 12th, right? Okay. 2 weeks before Boots fought Stanionis, Brian Norman Jr. fought Quavos, right? And according to Brian Norman Sr., 2 weeks after Boots fought Stanionis, they signed a contract to fight Jin Sasaki. Let's do the timeline again, and we're going to move on to my next point. Number one, Brian Norman Jr. fights Derek Quavos at the end of March, right? Are we there? Everybody understand that? Everybody, are y'all with me? Okay. Brian Norman Jr. fights Derek Quavos March the 29th of this year. 2 weeks, nearly 2 weeks later, Jerron Boots Ennis fights Stanionis, April the 12th of this year. So we have two world champions who fought 2 weeks apart, right? After the Quavos fight, Brian Norman Jr. told Jin Sasaki, according to what Brian Norman Sr. just said, y'all just heard him, I am going to wait to see if we could get a deal done to fight the other world champions in my division to unify first. And if that don't happen, if that don't materialize, then I will give you a shot at the title, Jin Sasaki. But 2 weeks after Boots fought and TKO Stanionis, Brian Norman Jr. signed a contract to fight Jin Sasaki in June. So my question to Brian Norman Sr. was, then why didn't y'all fight Boots then? You mean to tell me 2 weeks after Boots win, y'all go sign a contract to fight Jin Sasaki? If your son said, the fighter, the professional boxer, he's the one that have the final say, because guess what? Everybody works for the fighter. The promoter works for the fighter. The manager works for the fighter. The trainer works for the fighter. Because all three of those entities are receiving compensation from this young man's purse. So if he, the professional boxer, the fighter, is saying, I want to wait to negotiate some terms to the other world champions in my division to unify before I agree to terms to fight Jin Sasaki. So when I asked Mr. Brian Sr. that, let me replay his response so we all can be on the same page. Hold on. Here we go. Don't take my word for it. Roll the tape. So then your son basically, you said that your son said that if the other guys wouldn't give him a chance, I guess right away.
Phone breaking up. It's breaking up.
No, I can hear you, Marty.
Oh, that if you just said that if your son said if the other, I guess, world champions won't give him an opportunity to fight in a unification bout, then your son would take the Jensen Saki fight. That was right in March or April, basically.
He told Jensen Saki that right after his fight, March 29th.
May 25th or something like
March 29th. March 29th.
March the 29th. Yeah. He told Jensen Saki that, but you just said within a month you guys signed a contract at the end of April to fight him in June. Right. Well, that's the part where I'm confused at because Boots fought on April the 12th, literally 2 weeks or so after your son fought in his last fight. So I'm just trying to figure out why, and if your son is saying, based on what you just said, your son said, we're going to see if the other champions give me a chance to fight them. And if not, then I will give you an opportunity. But Boots fought literally 2 weeks after your son fought. So I'm just trying to figure out why didn't y'all fight Boots instead of giving Jensen Saki the opportunity when he fought 2 weeks after y'all?
How could we fight Boots? Fight Boots how? Fight Boots how? Wait. Fight Boots how? Was there the offers out to fight Boots? Wait, now you hear me now? There was no offers out to fight Boots. There was no Boots after Boots press conference. They asked him specifically about my son.
All right, I'm gonna stop it there. His answer was there was no offers to fight Boots. Basically, there was no offers on the table to fight Boots after Boots fought Stanionis. So because there were no offers made, 2 weeks later, we signed a contract to fight Jensen Saki. I thought Brian Norman Jr. just said, according to his dad, wait a minute, I want to unify my belts. I want to unify my titles. I want to see if there's opportunities for me to fight the other world champions in my division so I can unify. Before I commit to fighting you, Jensen Saki. But 2 weeks later, they signed the contract to fight Jensen Saki. You mean to tell me y'all only waited 2 weeks? No, let me rephrase that. You mean to tell me y'all waited for an offer to be made? Wait. Let me reframe that. You mean to tell me your son has representation and y'all waited for somebody to call y'all? Okay, let me reframe that. Wait. Let me reframe that. You mean to tell me that your representation, who's getting a percentage of your purse, Brian Norman Jr., the fighter, you mean to tell me your representation, after hearing what you said, Brian Norman Jr., the fighter said this. He wanted to wait. He wanted to negotiate some terms. He wanted to be unified. He wanted to fight the unified champions in his division before he commit to Jensen Saki. That's what the fighter said. And the manager worked for the fighter. Okay, wait. Let me reframe that. How come the manager didn't call Eddie? It's just a question. I don't mean to be facetious. How come the management team didn't call Top Rank, their promoter? Wait. Let me reframe that. How come the professional boxer, the fighter, Brian Norman Jr., didn't get what he asked for? Everybody in the equation is working for him. So if he really wanted the Boots fight, because that's what Brian Norman said, Brian Norman Sr. said, y'all heard him, right? We was watching the Boots versus the Stanionis fight. Okay, so when y'all saw that Boots TKO'd him, y'all should have been on the phone. Representation should have been on the phone talking to representation. Huh? We're not waiting for an offer. See, listen, my client, if I'm managing a boxer, y'all, I'm talking as a professional boxing manager now. And I hear my client tell me privately, these are the same words I told Brian Sr. yesterday, and I'm going to say it again right now. If my client told me privately, and my client told the media publicly, if my client told a potential opponent publicly, I want to explore my options to be unified in my division before I commit to fighting Jen Sasaki as the professional boxing manager, I'm not sitting around with my fingers crossed waiting for an offer. You want to know why? Because Eddie Hearn had already made multiple offers 6 to 7, 8 months ago. So what am I waiting for? If my client wants this fight, I'm going to reach out to the representation first. I'm talking about as a professional boxing manager. Who's the first representation in Brian Norman Jr.'s situation besides his manager? Top Rank Promotions. Because you know he can't fight without their authorization. He can't fight without their authorization. Just to let y'all know that. That's practical in business, in boxing. So if they both wanted the fight to happen, Brian Norman Jr. and Boots, Jaron Ennis, and Eddie Hearn has made multiple offers, initiating these negotiations on numerous other occasions. And Brian Norman Jr. just got finished beating Derek Cuevos in a so-called tune-up fight. Then how come the representation did not get on the phone with Top Rank? And how come the representation, the management team, didn't get on the phone with Eddie Hearn? Instead, what did happen 2 weeks after Boots fought, they signed a contract to fight Jen Sasaki. Now, I'm going to take it another step further as the viewership is increasing exponentially. Not only that, but Jen Sasaki, and I did a video on this, y'all, and I brought that up to Brian Norman Sr. Jen Sasaki told the entire world in Tokyo, Japan, he was in another country when he said this, his hometown, in January of this year, he said, my next fight, Brian Norman Jr. And then 2 months after, he said that in Tokyo, Japan. 2 months after, on March the 29th, Top Rank Promotions flew him 14 hours in the air to approach Brian Norman Jr. after Brian Norman Jr. defeats Derek Cuevos. Y'all don't remember that? Y'all remember that? Remember at the post-fight interview that Brian Norman Jr. did? And Jen Sasaki stood right next to him, reading him a letter and telling him how much he wanted to fight him to promote the actual fight. You mean to tell me that the promoter allowed a professional boxer to stand next to their professional boxer that they're representing? Wait a minute. You mean to tell me the promoter, let me reframe that. You mean to tell me the promoter allow a potential opponent, right, to interfere with Brian Norman's interview that he was doing post-fight with the media? Where they do that at? I'm going to tell you where they do that at. They do that when the promoters know that the next fight that's coming up or potentially to come up is the fight between the two parties involved. In this case, Jen Sasaki and Brian Norman Jr. If Top Rank didn't know that that was going to be Jen Sasaki and Brian Norman Jr.'s next fight, then guess what? They would have not allowed him to interview, they would have not allowed Jen Sasaki to interrupt that young man, Brian Norman Jr.'s interview. I'm going to take it another step further. Because guess what is going to happen? 3 months after Brian Norman Jr. fought Cuevos in his last fight, he's actually going to fight Jen Sasaki. What are the odds in that? What are the optics in that? Being an actual coincidence that Jen Sasaki is in his hometown of Tokyo, Japan, And he's telling the media out there, my next fight, Brian Norman Jr., my next fight. And then 2 months later, he's standing next to Brian Norman Jr. on American soil. So that means that somebody flew him here and paid for the airfare and room and board at the hotel and gave him a per diem to eat. Somebody paid for that. And then interrupted Brian Norman Jr.'s interview, claiming that he want to fight him next. And then mysteriously, magically, 3 months later, the prophecy that Jen Psaki said in January is actually going to happen. Come on, y'all. Let's keep it real. The reality is, y'all knew y'all was going to fight Jen Psaki next. Now, somebody might say, well, Manager Marty, you got to give us a little bit more evidence. Even though the air fryer still did not warm up, I'm going to give y'all this point because we might have to do a part 2. I need the air fryer to warm up. We might do a part 2 on this. I'm going to take it another step further. If you look at Jen Psaki's last several performances, right, you would discover that his performances were being live streamed on what broadcast? Can somebody tell me in the live chat, please? We're going to solve this mystery right now. Can someone tell me, please tell me, what was the name of the streaming platform that published Jen Psaki's last several fights? And I'm talking about going back 2, 3 years ago to now. Just can somebody please just tell me the name of the network, please? You don't know? Okay, I'm going to tell you right now. ESPN. You mean to tell me Jen Psaki have been competing for the last several years on ESPN? Well, that begs the differ. And that also begs the question, who has a contract? Wait. Let me reframe that. What's the name of the promotion company that have a contract with ESPN? Wait. Let me reframe that. What's the name of the promotion company who have a contract with ESPN that allow their fighters to be broadcasted on ESPN? Top Rank? Interesting. So wait a minute. I get it now. So Top Rank, dang, y'all gotta help me understand this because this don't make no sense to me. I'm starting to get even more confused. So Top Rank has a contract with ESPN, and Top Rank have been publishing Jen Psaki's fights. Oh, I see what's going on now. I figured it out. Because Brian Norman Sr. said they didn't even know who Jen Psaki was. He also said they didn't even know that there was a fight even lined up for his son to fight Jen Psaki. Brian Norman Sr. told me also yesterday that was the first time that they actually talked about and had an encounter with Jen Psaki after the fight between Brian Norman Jr. and Quavos. So you mean to tell me, and I want to make sure that we're clear on this, y'all. So you mean to tell me basically that Jen Psaki knew that he was fighting Brian Norman Jr. Top Rank and Bob Arum knew that Jen Psaki was fighting Brian Norman Jr. But Brian Norman Jr., Brian Norman Sr., or Brian Norman Jr.'s management company that represent him, they didn't know? Wait. Let me reframe that. Top Rank promotes Jen Psaki. Top Rank promotes Jen Psaki. And what's about to happen in this fight between Jen Psaki and Brian Norman Jr.? Well, Brian Norman Jr. is going to fight in Tokyo, Japan, in the hometown of who? Jen Psaki. Not only that, Brian Norman Jr. is the only American competing on the entire card in June when he fight Jen Psaki. Some of y'all didn't catch that. I'm going to repeat it and then give you the answer. We're going to do a part 2 on this. I'll be back tomorrow morning. I'm going to say that again. Brian Norman Jr. is the only American professional boxer that will be scheduled to compete on the card in June in Tokyo, Japan to fight Jen Psaki, where Brian Norman Jr. will be defending his title. Where am I getting that? If you look at Jen Psaki's performances on YouTube, you will see that they're being published by Top Rank Promotions YouTube page. So how is it that Top Rank knew that Jen Psaki was fighting Brian Norman Jr.? Jen Psaki knew in January of this year that he was fighting Brian Norman Jr. in his next fight. But Brian Norman Sr., Brian Norman Jr., or Brian Norman Jr.'s management company that represent him did not know that. We need answers. Either Brian Norman Sr. is lying or Top Rank Promotions already penciled in the fight and informed Jen Psaki and his other representatives and already was in the process of working out a deal with the Japan Commission to organize this card and this fight between Jen Psaki and Brian Norman Jr. without the Normans and their representation even knowing. That's the only two things that could be in play right now. Either Top Rank and Jen Psaki knew, and they basically knew all along since January that he was going to fight Brian Norman Jr. this year, and Top Rank failed to share that information with the representation of Brian Norman Jr. and Brian Norman Jr. and Brian Norman Sr. Brian Norman Sr. is outright lying to me, and they already knew they were going to fight Jen Psaki this year, even though Brian Norman Jr. and Brian Norman Sr. have been on multiple platforms screaming they want the Boots fight anytime, anywhere. It's either one of those two. I'm just saying. It's either one of those two now. It's either one of those two. And all I can say is we need answers. I'm going to play one more excerpt, and I promise you I'll let you go. We have more, but due to time constraints and the fact that we were not able to warm up the air fryer in a certain amount of time, I have to go take care of some business. I'm going to come back here sometime tomorrow morning possibly and really deal with this. Let me play another piece of an excerpt that I wanted to address with Brian Norman Sr. Hold on for a minute. Roll the tape. Let me clarify what I was saying. So Brian Norman Sr. was telling me yesterday, which y'all just heard me respond to, is that they were waiting for an offer. And it basically just took them 2 weeks to wait, honestly, because they just signed to fight Jen Psaki, all because they were waiting to hear back from whatever Eddie Hearn said at a press conference. Not the representation, Brian Norman Jr.'s management company talking to Eddie Hearn privately, talking to Top Rank privately to organize this fight, since Brian Norman Jr. said he's waiting to see the outcome of the Boots versus Stan Jonas fight. No, that's not what happened. What did happen, according to Brian Norman Sr., they were sitting around just waiting to hear an offer. And based on what Eddie Hearn said at a press conference, that Boots will be fighting hopefully sometime in the fall, they took that and ran with it to say, oh, that means Eddie want to fight in the fall with Boots, so we're not going to talk to him. And that's what made them sign to fight Jen Psaki for over $1 million. And my point was, if y'all going to go over to Tokyo, Japan, another country, to fight Jen Psaki for $1 million, then y'all could have fought in Philly for $1.7 million. Because $1.7 million is more than $1 million. And you know what Brian Norman Sr. said to me? Well, they're neck and neck. It's close. It's close numbers. So it don't make a difference. No, it does make a difference. It's a $700,000 difference. Not only that, if you are willing to accept an offer to fight in another man's country for a $700,000 reduction that you could have made with Boots, then why not take a $300,000 reduction to fight Boots? What I mean by that is, if 1.7 was not enough and y'all wanted 2 million, well, that means there's a $300,000 disparity. There's a $300,000 gap. So if it's a $300,000 gap to fight Boots and y'all claim y'all can knock him out quickly and easily, then my thing is fight Boots. If y'all willing to take a $700,000 reduction to fight Jen Psaki in Japan for $1 million. Y'all couldn't hear that? What he said? It It was silent? Okay, let me go back. Hold on. Roll the tape.
They don't want to talk about it. What are we talking about here? They don't want to talk about it.
I heard that. Hold on. Let me finish my thought process, whoever that is. Somebody got to mute their phone. There's a lot of feedback. What I'm saying is this. Okay, Jen Psaki, $1 million. I get that. But,
more than $1 million.
Okay, more than $1 million. But it's not more than 1.7.
Bro, it's right there with it. It's right there with it. What are we talking about?
Okay,
go ahead.
Finish.
Go ahead.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
We gentlemen. It's not more than it's not more than $1.7 million against a guy who you can knock out within 4 rounds. Hold on. Not only that. If that was the case, you guys could have fought Stanionis before Boots. You guys could have took that. Hold on. Beat Stanionis and got the title just like Boots did, so that you can now have an improvement of your leverage. Hold on, it doesn't stop there. Let me finish. Boots is coming to the table with representation, and I'm sure Eddie brought this up to you guys because it's just standard in boxing that the guy did very well, meaning Boots, at the Wells Fargo Center, not once but twice within a matter of 4 months in his hometown. And you guys and your son never headlined a big card, not even in Atlanta, Georgia, as a pay-per-view or just a regular live stream. So when we talk about those numbers, $1.7 million is nothing to sneeze at. So what I'm saying is, if you're not going to come to the table with another belt, maybe fighting Stanionis to block Boots from fighting Stanionis, if your son is saying to Jen Psaki, hey, I'm going to go find out if the other champions are willing to fight me first before I agree to the terms with you guys to fight Jen, then that should have happened because he's the fighter. But what did happen is you guys, according to what you said, you guys signed a contract to fight Jen Psaki literally 2 weeks after Boots fought in April. That's where I'm confused at.
You ready? First of all, you say you're a manager, but I guess you don't understand how deals are made. You said we could have fought Stanionis. Wait. Hear me out. So you just said that we could have fought Stanionis before Boots and got. When was that fight on the table? And when was these fights on the table? Again, listen. I just let you talk. I ain't say shit. Listen, that fight was not on the table. Stanionis' fight was not on the table for us.
Stop. I have to make this point, y'all. Why do fights have to be on the table? Lucky McKinnell's, I need you to hear me, brother. Flatbush, I need you to hear me. Victor, I need you to hear me. Creole the Traveler, I need you to hear me. Steve, I need you to hear me. Cleveland Bandit. Anton, please listen to me. Ariana, Many Face Publishing, I need you all to hear me. Jab Queen Boxing, please hear me. Why is it that every time I've asked Brian Norman Sr. about a fight with Boots or about a fight with Stanionis, to beat Stanionis, get the title off of Stanionis, just like Boots just did, gain more leverage in the negotiation table to be able to justify why you guys are asking for more than $2.something million, why do y'all have to sit down and just wait until offers are negotiated by being initiated to you all? In other words, why does Stanionis' representation have to reach out to you all first? Why does Jerron Boots in his representation have to reach out to y'all first in order for y'all to accept offers? You have representation. That's the point of Brian Norman Jr. having a manager. Why can't the manager initiate contact on behalf of his client if his client, Brian Norman Jr., wanted to be unified in this division? Why is it that, oh man, those fights wasn't offered to? What you talking about? Why does it have to be offers being made? Why do somebody got to come to you first? And that's the point I was making. I can't wait to come back here tomorrow morning. We got to do part 2 of this. It's more to it. Listen, I'm not done. I'm not done. They signed a contract to fight Jin Sasaki 2 weeks after Boots fought Stanionis. Why? How's that possible? That's impossible. That's impossible. When Jin Sasaki done told the world in Tokyo, Japan, next fight, Brian Norman Jr. He said that in January, and then 2 months later, Top Rank flies him 14 hours in the air on an airplane to come to America, gave him money to eat every day that he was here, and gave him hotel room and board stay, and then gave him access to stand right next to Brian Norman Jr. to interrupt his interview after he fought in his last fight. You mean to tell me they did all of this and Top Rank had no intentions of you fighting Jin Sasaki? Come on, y'all. Let's keep it real. Even if it was a last-minute decision to fight Jin Sasaki, y'all only waited 2 weeks to hear back from Eddie Hearn? Y'all didn't negotiate with Eddie Hearn, who been reaching out to you all on numerous occasions to get this fight done between Boots and Brian Norman Jr.? You mean to tell me y'all took the words of Eddie Hearn at face value at a press conference after Boots fought? That's ridiculous to me. Now, if Brian Norman Jr. did not have management to represent him, my whole entire foundation will be different. But because he has representation, and I'm part of the representation in boxing, and I know the business, that's why I gotta challenge that. I gotta throw out the red flag on that and challenge that play, because that don't make sense to me. The young man told y'all, the fighter, hey, I'll fight Jin Sasaki, but hold on for a minute. I want to explore my other options to unify the titles in my division. So then 2 weeks after he said that, y'all going to turn around, watch Boots beat up Stanionis, and then 2 weeks after that, y'all signed to fight another guy? Come on, y'all. Y'all ain't going to find this nowhere else. That's why I'm glad you're here. And speaking of glad you're here, I got to double salute my guy. I got to put him up on the screen, man. My main man, pots and pan, 50 grand. Ill Will 85 in the building. Salute. I'm just saying. All I'm saying is, Brian Norman Sr. can jump on platform after platform after platform after platform on YouTube, do all this talking. Y'all couldn't call Eddie Hearn and say, yeah, we saw what Boots did to Stanionis. And you saw what my son, or excuse me, he got representation now. Brian Norman Sr. said he's not his manager. He's not his son manager no more. I'm sorry. Let me reframe that. From boxing manager representation, right, to Eddie Hearn. Hi, Eddie Hearn. You know who this is. Yeah, this is the management company that represents Brian Norman Jr. You saw what my client just did in 3 rounds to Cuevas, right? Okay. You know his hand not broken anymore, right? Okay. Yeah, we just got finished watching the fight with Boots and how he scored that technical knockout against Stanionis. Yeah, we are aware that now he is unified in the welterweight division. He holds 2 of the titles. Yeah, we are aware. But guess what? We have an offer on the table. I'm not going to tell you the numbers because it's none of your business, but I'm letting you know Jin Sasaki is on our heels. Okay? And other fighters as well. We got about 3 or 4 deals on the table now to take these fights. But my client want to fight Boots. So we'll hold off on those other fights. And we will negotiate with you to fight Boots now. If you say it's in July, cool, we with it. If you say it's going to be in Philadelphia, cool, we with it. If you're going to throw us $2 million now, which we were asking for in the beginning, back in September, cool, we with it. Where do we sign at? We ready. But that's not what happened, ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, members of the Roll to Tape film crew. Is that what happened? That's not what happened. What did happen, though, was 2 weeks after they saw that massacre that Boots put on Stanionis, they signed to fight Jin Sasaki. Basically, all I'm saying